Hello and welcome back to the third rail. My collection of Märklin models has grown quite large over the years. As a result, it can take a rather long time before certain models come out for some action. This week's spread is such a case, and quite an extreme one at that, as it has been over 4 years since I last used most of them. I cannot believe it has been so long. It's a bit of a shame, as these are some of my favorites, all from the colourful Wurttemberg line Märklin released in the mid to late 1980s. I am going to give the models their long overdue run today, and as I do this, I'll also cover a bit of trivia to put the models in context. Before we set off, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe and alert button before leaving today. Super thanks are also available if you feel the content deserves it. Whatever the option you choose will be much appreciated. Many thanks! Now, on to our topic. One of the reasons I chose the Märklin production of the 1980s as a collection theme is that it corresponds to a time of change for Märklin. It is the decade when the company shifted its business model away from children towards young adults and older customers. You all know the story of declining birth rates from the late 1960s onwards, leading to increased competition for a spot on children's bedroom floors, and lifting the average Märklin customer age. The business model had to change to adapt to the expectations of an older clientele in terms of choice and detail. This required a careful balancing act. The overhaul began in the late 1970s. Underperforming toy lines were dropped to the benefit of the model train category, and a new line of Reichsbahn theme products was released as a quick fix. I say quick fix because most of the models were simply rebadged existing Deutsche Bundesbahn models. But behind the scenes, investments were being made in new production tools and methods. The results started to become apparent during the 1980s with the introduction of more detailed products in a wider range of railway companies and eras, more frequent releases and shorter production runs, as well as an increased use of limited editions. By 1989, the starter sets had lost their prominent spot at the beginning of the catalogue, and Märklin had pivoted to the way it does business to this day. The Vertonburg themed line is a product of that era, and probably the first time the elements of the new approach came together for a product launch. A new locomotive tooling with matching stock and a limited edition box set. More releases followed, and the Württemberg theme soon became a staple of the Märklin offering. This was a fitting theme for Märklin in many ways. It added an additional era to choose from in the catalogue. It filled a gap in the market, as most manufacturers had chosen the Prussian theme at the time. Finally, it represented the state where Märklin had been based since its inception in 1859. The launch coincided with the company's 125th anniversary, which Märklin marked with the release of a special edition box set. I have laid out the entire Württemberg contingent. We'll have a look at them in chronological order, starting in 1984. Here is the launch logo. It's model number 3312. It represents a T5 tender locomotive. This locomotive was made by Maschinenfabrik Esslingen and Maschinenbaugesellschaft Heilbronn. They were both based in the Württemberg region. The locomotive was intended as a passenger locomotive, but quickly became a multi-service locomotive, equally at ease on both secondary and main lines. A line of wagons was also released at the same time, in the higher-end 4600 range. Märklin based all of them on Verbandsbauart prototypes built from the 1910s onwards by the provincial railways in Germany. We have a little green closed wagon, reference number 4685. We have a few beer wagons, the Wulle Brewery, reference number 4678, and the Englischer Garten beer wagon, reference number 4677. Then we have a few tank wagons, the mineral oil wagon DPAG, that was a joint venture with Standard Oil that would become Esso in the 1950s. Those ones are reference 4674. There was also the limited edition 125th anniversary set. It was limited in the sense that it was only produced in 1984, but Märklin made as many as people ordered. This set was very popular, so thousands were made. I like it so much, I have 2 of them. The set is composed of a T5 locomotive, again, and a few wagons based on the same types we have seen earlier, but with different liveries. All the items are factory weathered. The locomotive is identical to the 3312 technically, but it has a different running number. Then we have the wagons, Märklin wagon, of course, then one of the unified breweries, then a Zeller and Gmelin mineral oil wagon, a Stauffenbräu beer wagon, and then a tar or asphalt wagon from the company called Burg. So, in 1984, there was already quite a bit to play with. In 1985, 2 more wagons joined the lineup. We have a closed wagon in green, reference 4679, and the Olex oil wagon, reference number 4675. Olex was originally an Austrian petroleum company. The German part of the business became BP in 1950. The color of the model changed to a dark blue in 1987. So we have the 2 versions here. We move to 1986, where the beer wagon Klus was released. Its reference number 4780. Then, in 1988, Märklin turned its attention to the mainline and passengers. For me, this is the best of the lineup. We have the Class C, reference number 3511, and its matching express coaches 4210, 4211, 4212, 4213, and 4214. The prototype of the locomotive was also a product of Wurttemberg, made again by Esslingen. It is a very detailed model with a silent motor. It was released in several flavors at launch, with 3311, which was a simple analog version. The one we have, 3511, with a 5-star propulsion system. And we also had a digital version under reference number 3611. Then, in 1989, Märklin released yet more models. There was a release of a Prussian T18 in Wurttemberg livery under reference number 3307 for analog and 3607 for digital. Both models are otherwise cosmetically identical, same running number, etc., etc. Then we had a few more freight references with the vinegar wagon Schweikart under reference number 4683 and the beer wagon Esslingen under reference number 4782. Over the next 20 years, Märklin would regularly release new products in that theme, which also encouraged competitors like Brava or Rocco to do the same. Okay, let me set a few trains up on the block system and we'll finish the video with a bit of traffic. One moment, please. And we are back. Everything is on the move. This is all very colourful, isn't it? This line really was a breath of fresh air and a nice change from the standard Reichsbahn steam locomotives everyone had been making until then. I like the colours, although I don't think they are correct on the locomotives. I think the liveries were a darker green. On the Class C, it might have been a very dark blue or even black, which could appear light blue under very sunny conditions. This point often causes animated debates. If you're feeling a bit mischievous, try and drop a naively worded question in a forum and watch what happens. You might be up for a giggle. Märklin was first out of the gates with this line. In such cases, people suddenly start researching and the blaming game soon follows. Märklin corrected this aspect on later models, so the early releases we have on the track are often criticized. But I like these models as they are. They're just a bit of fun. The little T5s don't do as well as I'd like on my crossing combinations, which is down to the engineering of the track system. They also don't like my braking modules, so I finally bit the bullet and modified every unit I had installed, something I had had on my to-do list since the layout was finished. I've made them weaker so the locomotives don't stop instead of slowing down at lower speed settings. Getting the models to run properly was a bit challenging. I had left them unused for so long that I had to deal with all sorts of gremlins, from the usual maintenance stuff to ground contact issues. But we got there in the end, albeit in a bit of a traumatic fashion. Alright, most of you never watch running trains, so I am going to leave things here for today. I might cobble together the unused footage and upload the stuff on the second channel. There's a little link at the top if you're not familiar with it. But for now, I'd like to thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please let others know with a little thumbs up, a comment, or even a subscription. Thanks so much for your support. Until next time, bye for now.